Tommy G, and welcome. All right, so what I try and do is I try and get the experts in here to make sense of the senseless. So this afternoon, it's my pleasure to bring in a really great attorney. Rave reviews. People love him. And I think what they love about him is that he cares about people. He has empathy. And he really, you sit down with him, and after 5 minutes, he's your best friend, and you feel so confident that you finally found someone who's going to fight your battles. When I was growing up, I would go out there and I would stick up for people. And my mother always told me, she goes, you should be an attorney. That's exactly how this next person that I'm going to introduce, he is going to be for you. He's going to fight for you. He's going to look out for you. He's going to care about you. And that's what I love about him. So let me put my hands together for George Veitengruber. And how we doing, George? Doing great, right?
Doing good, Tommy. Thanks for having me.
You're doing really good today, right?
Doing all right.
All righty. And you named it after yourself, right?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So it's Veitengruber Law.
That's it.
That's it. So how do you help people? What do you do? What do you specialize in?
Sure. So I do bankruptcy, I
Yeah.
do foreclosure defense and loan mods.
All right.
And I do real estate.
Oh, okay.
So in a time where New Jersey is #1 in something, and it happens to be foreclosure, 5 years running strong,
Yeah.
my job is to help people stay in their houses.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not of their fault whatsoever. You get into a bad situation. Sometimes you're going through a bad situation in life. You lose your job. Maybe you're getting a divorce, whatever it's going to be. But it's nice to be able to call somebody up and say, I need help.
Maybe there's a global pandemic happening and your job's going to shut down for the next 2 weeks to 4 months.
Right.
The reality is that we live so close to the poverty line,
Yeah.
paycheck to paycheck, that it doesn't take much to find yourself in trouble.
Yeah.
And the point is not to hide and pretend it doesn't exist. It's to give yourself a chance to get out from under that problem and recover.
And you're an expert. And I can tell you this right now. You're listening right now. You're driving on a turnpike. You're going down the Garden State Parkway. You're coming down 9, 27, 1, 35, 36, wherever you're traveling. Listen to me right now. You've got to pay attention because maybe now you don't need this. You don't have the problem right now. But you might next month. And you might 6 months from now. Right?
Absolutely. I mean, the problem is, right, people are so afraid to talk to attorneys in general.
Yeah.
I'm a very intimidating person, as you can tell. But people are so afraid to talk to attorneys. They'd rather cut off their arm than to come admit they have a problem. And we spend so much time trying to educate people that whatever happened to you, you're punishing yourself more than any of us would judge you about what happened to you.
Yeah.
We just want to help you get back on your feet.
Somebody gets a notice in the mail, and the notice says, okay, if you don't pay this now, it's going to go to collections. And they take the paper and they rip it up and they throw it out. Is that a bad thing?
You're assuming they opened their mail.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, obviously it's a bad thing.
Okay.
And listen, sometimes debts happen that aren't yours.
Yeah.
And there's a procedure under the Fair Debt Collection Act that says dispute it.
Okay.
And they have to provide the backup.
Yeah.
But once they provide the backup and you go, all right, you got me, it's me.
Yeah.
Make a deal. You don't have to necessarily pay full freight.
Yeah.
But you have to pick up the phone and call. Because if you wait, they're just going to tack on fees and interest anyway.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this right now, and you got your fans out there. Malama says, hi, George, you're the best.
Malama.
Oh, it's Malama?
It's
okay.
Malama.
Malama,
and
okay.
Malama loves us. We actually helped her do a reverse mortgage and keep a house that had been in her family for 80 years.
Yeah.
I get a Christmas bush from her every year that is bigger than me.
Well, that's the whole point, and that's why I want everybody to know about you. I'm going to make it my mission because you're the person out there that's going to help them. You're going to help alleviate, because first of all, people get very fearful of this. You get these notices in the mail. You may have a temporary illness. Maybe you're going through whatever situation in life, you just can't pay your bills.
Right.
And I think the best thing to do is say, okay, here, can you contact my attorney, please? And once you say that, right, then they have to contact you, I would imagine.
Their job...
The debtors.
The creditors at that point are supposed to leave you alone. And they are supposed to reach out to me. And look, it's not like I'm going to reach into my own pocket and be Daddy Warbucks and say, yeah, here, financially I'm going to fix the problem.
Yeah.
But I can give you a timeline about how long you have until this problem in front of you today is really going to be a thing. If you get served with a foreclosure and somebody's trying to take your house, if you answer the complaint, you have 9 months to a year to figure it out.
Wow.
But if you ignore it, they can schedule a sheriff sale in 4 months.
Wow.
So
you see, this is the stuff. I thank you for telling my audience this for free.
For free.
Unless I'm going to get a bill.
I'm sending you the bill.
This is great information, it really is. Now, what about credit card debt? How can somebody racked up, I don't know, $20,000 in a credit card and they just can't make those payments? What can you do for them?
You trying to tell me something, Tommy?
No.
This is for a friend, right? For a friend.
Trust me, my credit card is paid off at the end of the month. Now, for my wife, I can't speak for her, all right? But for me, I'm fine. But yeah, let's say for a friend of mine, sure.
Yeah. So when it comes to credit card debt, bankruptcy is something that obviously people would like to avoid it if they can. In some cases, it makes the most sense.
Right.
But the debt is just a function of what do you have in terms of assets. There are things that we really need to pay attention to, and that's if you got equity in your house, okay, you might have to do a home equity line instead in order to settle these things. But if you don't, if you're renting, or if you're upside down in your house, and you're in that position of joblessness or a sick spouse or a sick kid, or it's just not working, a bankruptcy is a reset button. So you can get rid of all the debt and start over.
Yeah, people see that word, file for bankruptcy, and they go, oh, I'll never be able to get a credit card again. How does that work?
So this is one of those things that they absolutely think I'm lying to them. When your bankruptcy is over, which could be 4 months, you can get a credit card on day one.
On day one?
On day one.
Wow.
And I'd love to say the company that's the bunch of maverick yahoos that'll give it to you, but they're not a sponsor of yours, so I can't give them free advertising.
That's right.
But I can tell you that secured credit cards are at all of the local community banks and the credit unions. And if you have 3 new cards sitting in your pocket, those companies have to report your good credit habits
to the credit agency.
And that's how we rehab your score.
Wow. Oh, you see, I didn't know that. And I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that as well.
Right.
Okay, right now, mortgage rates are at record lows. I mean, they're pretty low.
Right.
So is this a good time now? You can help out with real estate issues. And
sure.
So if somebody wants to go through, I don't know, they want to buy a house, they want to refinance. How do you help out with that?
Right. Yeah. So obviously you can't just do all gloom and doom because nobody would want to be my friend.
That's right.
So
Well, I'm your friend because, you know.
Well, because I pay you.
Well, or you take me out to dinner, right?
Yeah. So the reality is that we do real estate too, and it started as real estate for our clients that were having trouble, but we do regular purchase and sale too.
Right.
And with rates where they are right now, people really want to jump in because if I could get an interest rate of 3% or below, well, that's a great buy on a house. The problem we're actually seeing now is limited inventory.
Right.
Everybody is scrambling to find a place to buy because there's not as much out on the market. So if you have a house and you're interested in selling, it's a great time to go talk to your favorite realtor because they're going to find interested buyers just about anywhere right now.
Yeah, I would imagine so. And being that the mortgage rates are this low, it makes it even more affordable for people to get loans, or they can get a better house or bigger house, right? Or even step up a little bit, right?
None of us want to date ourselves, but if we were sitting in the 80s, we were at 13% interest rates and paying points.
Yeah.
And if you're getting an interest rate at 3% on a house worth $300,000, that means you're paying $750 a month towards interest.
Right.
Whereas just a year ago, you would have been paying like $1,300 a month. Massive savings.
Yeah, I don't want to date myself, but when I bought my first house back in the 80s, my father thought I was crazy because the interest rate on the mortgage was 17%. But then what I did was, 2 years later, 3 years later, I got it down to 11. And then a few years later, I got it down to 9. And I just kept refinancing.
Right.
That was what I did.
And this almost circles back to where we started before. Having a good credit score is so important here.
Right.
If you're going to buy a house, give yourself 6 to 12 months ahead of time to acknowledge the things that might not be so great on your report. You can pull a free score and you can see, well, here's an old collection. Here's a medical bill I forgot about. Here's a credit card I may have messed up on. If you fix those things now, guy getting the 720 credit score and walking into a mortgage broker is gold. Where somebody that's sitting under 600, they might say, we can't help you right now.
What's a good, just to tell people, what's a good credit score to have? Keep it above 650 or?
720 and above.
720 and above, okay.
Yep.
All right, and that way they can actually take advantage of the better rates and stuff like that?
We call it the keys to the kingdom. You get the best rates. You get the concierge service. They pull up, and the limo drives you right to the closing. I don't know if any of that's true.
Yeah.
But the reality is, if you can keep your score at that, nobody's going to challenge you in terms of pushing you for weaker rates. Yeah. One of the biggest problems here is somebody says, I have to buy a house. But if they're sitting at a 580 and they start with a 7% interest rate, the only reason they got that junk interest rate is because the person was making a sale. They weren't putting them in a product that they were going to be able to afford. Yeah. And then they become my foreclosure client in a couple of years.
Let me ask you a question, because this happened to me, and you would have been the perfect person for me to hire. My father-in-law passed away. Nice guy. But he made me the executor of the will. Yeah. And he was on his third wife, this guy. And the third wife's children, they were bugging me, right? And so I said, I don't want to deal with this. Can I have hired you to handle like stuff like that?
Sure. Okay. Now, naturally, an estate planning attorney is probably the perfect place to be. Yeah. We do very little of that. Okay. But the mindset, the circle back to all of my brethren here are, we know really good attorneys. Right. And if somebody called me and it's not what I do, I've got a list of people that are really good in those areas.
Now, that's a very ethical attorney right there, because I know attorneys don't take on everything. Hey, I'll fix your parking ticket. I'll handle your divorce. I'll do your real estate. They can do everything. Yes. George, they do it all.
I don't like to retain my malpractice attorney that often.
Oh, I gotcha.
So I would much rather stick to the wheelhouse of what I like doing.
And you like doing real estate.
Bankruptcy, real estate, and some foreclosure defense on the side.
Foreclosure defense. Do you get a lot of that? I would imagine. Yeah. More than you would think, right?
So when this all started, at the crash of 08, foreclosure was crazy. And once the banks actually figured out how to start taking houses back from people, at one point there were 85,000 foreclosure complaint filings for the year. Wow. So right now, New Jersey has come all the way down to less than 20,000 for the year. That sounds great. It's still number one in the country. Right. So 1 out of every 0.07 houses. So 1 out of 14 in a neighborhood is going through foreclosure, where it's a zombie property, somebody's in distress. And there are programs in the state, there are programs on the federal level that let you modify the loan to fix the problem and get back on your feet.
And you help with that?
I do.
So how great is that?
It's awesome.
It's a one-stop shop. You're in trouble. And listen, people, the nicest, the best, the most honorable individual on this planet, they shouldn't be ashamed, right, to reach out for help, right?
No, and I'll make it even scarier. Yeah. I'll say a word you haven't heard from attorneys very often.
Okay, I'm bracing myself. All right.
Free.
Free? Wow. What'd you say, free?
Oh, free? Wait, hold. No, I don't want to go bankrupt.
Yeah.
It's a free consultation. Wow. I want them to come in and talk about the problem, because I like the puzzle. I like solving the weird puzzle. Yeah. And if I can help them, great. They'll sign a retainer. But if I can't help them, I'm going to tell them they either don't need me because they can solve it on their own, or I'm going to send them to the attorney that can. Yeah.
Now, you have a couple locations, don't you?
I do.
All right. Where are you located?
So I grew up in Howell. I'm a Monmouth County kid.
Okay.
So my main office is in Wall, right on 34, across from the airport. Right. But I'm also a smart kid, and when the economy was at its height, I bought my house out in Bordentown because more property, less price. Right. Yay.
Gotcha.
So I opened an office a minute from my house, and I just opened a third office up in Metuchen, right off Main Street.
So conveniently located throughout New Jersey right now, and it's just something that's a no-brainer for me. I'm in trouble. First person I'm thinking about is George Veitengruber, right? The third.
Thanks, Tommy.
Yeah, no, I'm serious about this. I have for the rest of my life. I get in trouble, and you never know. Like I said, I like to pay my bills on time. I like to do everything right. I'm a very moral person. I volunteer in my community. I pet my dog. I do everything right. But you never know. What if I get sick and I can't pay the bills? Or the mortgage gets behind in its payments? What happens if all of a sudden my wife goes on a spending spree and she just buys, right? And I'm on the credit with her. She got my credit cards. I can't tell her she can't have my credit cards.
Don't do that.
Who am I going to call? You.
That's absolutely it.
And the website's very easy, right?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So www.veitengruberlaw.com. Yeah. And if you spell that, Tommy will give you a prize today.
Well, I don't know. I don't know what I can give. I don't know what I can give them today, there, George. But what I can give them this, okay? I can give them the best legal advice in New Jersey when it comes to debt, when it comes to real estate. That's the prize. I can give them you. I give them you.
I'll put a bow on just for today.
I gotcha. So very, very conveniently located throughout the state of New Jersey. And here's another thing. I heard you have a phenomenal staff. Phenomenal.
I do have a phenomenal staff.
Want to do a couple of shout-outs while we're at it here?
She's in the room, so I probably
okay.
have to. So
Yeah.
you don't build a team like this
Yeah.
and be able to do it alone.
Right.
And I have 9 people that work for me. We have a fully outfitted real estate team,
Yeah.
a foreclosure team, and a bankruptcy team.
Okay.
I'd be lost without having Ivy, Cheryl, and Carissa at my back. They make it easy. When
Yeah.
you call our office, you feel like you've known us forever, and we get you in right away so you can talk about your problems.
That's exactly how I felt, really. When I went in there and I initially had a chat with you, I walked out, I felt like, man, I feel like I know this man my whole life. That you have that type of personality, that we always like, you're just a giving person, just a nice giving person. And that's my impression.
Thanks.
It really is.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I think my parents raised me right.
Well, they did a great job. They really did. So you're driving right now. You may not need the services now, but always in the back of your mind, keep it in the back of your mind. And there's one law firm out there that I strongly suggest that you remember, that you keep top of mind in case you do run into a problem, because you never know. Things are good today, but you can walk into work one day. You know what? We're going in a different direction. And it's happened to all of us.
I mean, listen, it's happened to me, Tommy. I remember 10 years ago when they said, hey, the economy's crashing and we can't afford you anymore.
Yeah.
And out of necessity, I was absolutely unhireable. Who would hire this jerk?
Oh,
so
I
built my own practice instead.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of it, is that we all go through hiccups. And when you're living so close to that paycheck to paycheck existence, doesn't take much to find yourself in trouble, and I'm the hand to help you get through it.
Well, and we appreciate it. George from Veitengruber Law. How do you spell that? Veitengruber Law. And I'll tell you, it's something I'm going to keep saying it every day until people just can recite it right off the top of their head, because they need to know about you. Thanks so much for coming in today, George.
Thanks for having me, Tommy. Appreciate it.
All right, we got Jersey traffic. Weather's next. You're listening to the Tommy G Show.